So today I'm going to talk about how to heal the wound of feeling unheard, which is really like an iteration of the wound of low self-worth, which I'll explain to you. And I'm going to start this by quoting Paramahansa Yogananda, which I will do in many videos because I feel like this is one of the best quotes that have ever been spoken in human history. And he said, "The world is a mere dream bluff to test your consciousness of immortality," meaning the world is a simulation to trigger within you any wounds that are vibrating that cause you to be unstable so that you can infuse that moment with the consciousness of stability and immortality. So it's our job to be real about what causes us to be unstable, what causes us to feel unstable. In my life, one of the most destabilizing things that I've experienced, beliefs that I've experienced, veils that I experience, is when I perceive that people don't believe me, and therefore if people don't believe me, something very bad will happen to me. And undoubtedly this is connected to past lives where, let's just give the most classic example, witches are burned at the stake, and for the most part they were just using nature to heal people, connecting with the elements, connecting with their own inner power, often being single, not having children, living lives that were independent of society, and they were killed, often for no good reason. And so that wound lives in all of us. And it might be manifesting as a really intense fear that you're not believed. So when we are afraid that when this wound is vibrating, it might attract to you. Remember, because the world is a mere dream bluff to test your consciousness of immortality. When this wound is vibrating and the soul is ready to heal it, we will attract people that don't believe us. We will attract situations that might be like almost unbelievable to most humans. Like in my life, what I've experienced in my Kundalini awakening has been probably to most people unbelievable. If I were to explain it in detail, a lot of people might think I'm crazy. And I can't bother myself to care what people think about this. It's a divine initiation. And I know from a place of high self-worth, like I rest and I know that it's a gift from the creator. It's not anything I need to worry about what people think. So that wound vibrating may and will, if you want to heal it, will attract situations that will trigger the perception. So let me just pause here and say that I think that people are beginning to see this and know this, but we should never judge a person's life and like whatever their process is, whatever they go through, because when you're ready to heal something, you will manifest it. You will manifest the darkness of it so that you can give yourself an opportunity to infuse the consciousness of immortality, to be stable in the face of it. So like, you don't know by appearances, by what's happening to a person, who they are or what's going on with them, unless you're very intuitive and you can tell like what their life is doing to help them awaken. We should never judge what people go through, because it's a lot. If you're living some perfect life where you're untouched and nothing ever challenges you, you probably are just avoiding life, to be honest. Because this life is very much, it's that dream bluff playground where we get to meet the darkness in our soul. The darkness in our soul takes shape in this simulation so that we can realize that we are greater than it. Okay. So again, the wound that is vibrating will attract situations to you. And a symptom of being in this reactive wound is you try to explain yourself. You try to defend yourself. You try to justify yourself. You explain to all these different people why you're right and another person is wrong. You explain in great detail why you're not lying. You explain in great detail why you're not a liar or why you're a good person and they should trust you. So what you're doing is you're trying to use words to manipulate the illusion to accept you, when what we're being asked to do is to say, you know what? It doesn't matter. Our job is to confront the veils within us and to incinerate them. And how do you incinerate this veil? When you're being triggered by it, you say, you know what? It doesn't matter that they don't believe me, that they don't hear me. I am heard. The source within you knows every cell of your body, knows every breath that you take, knows every thought in your mind, knows your goodness, and wants to give you everything. You don't have to prove anything to any of the characters in the illusion that was only constructed to help you confront this wound. The wound, the world is a dream bluff, meaning it's a simulation. Why are you trying to tell the simulation to be different? Why are you telling them to try to believe you? And by the way, I want to put a caveat in here where I'm not discouraging you from talking to people. Often that can save your life. And a really extreme example of this is there's a documentary on Netflix. I don't know what it's called, but it's something to do with like a woman who was seen as, hysterical and reactive, and her partner was seen as like this really nice, sweet guy, and he ended up killing her. So her real problem was not that she was reactive. Her real problem that she didn't have the self-worth and the strength to walk away from this man. Right? That was her real problem. And I just want to infuse that in here too. Like, I have seen so much in my work that spirituality can be greatly misunderstood, especially in cases like this, where a person with karma of very low self-worth who attracts abuse is reactive and is volatile, but the volatility is often them trying to cope with a situation that they can't consciously understand, which is that they have bonded themselves to someone who enjoys punishing them. But the world doesn't see it. The world doesn't see it. So to incinerate that veil, you say, I see it. The source within me is clarity. I see this clearly. You may not believe me or hear me, and I don't care. And that, my friends, is self-esteem. That is self-worth. That is self-worth. It doesn't matter if every single person in this universe doesn't believe what I say. It doesn't matter if there's, people are writing comments about me or doing XYZ about me. It doesn't matter. I know who I am, and I know the source within me is clear. I rest in that stability. So remember, the wound vibrates in a way that is unstable. In Kabbalah, they call this the unstable vessel. The unstable vessel, right? The wound causes us to get into the unstable vessel. Our job is to be the stable vessel. So when your unstable wound attracts to you in the simulation something that triggers the instability, our job, literally, our career should be to infuse stability in it. So if you're in this wound, like, you could be trying to convince everyone that you're right, trying to convince everyone that you're not a bad person. How do you incinerate that veil? And by the way, a lot of empaths that attract narcissists, they believe that they're bad people. They believe that they're bad people. Partly because maybe they haven't figured out how to be in this world with their heightened sensitivity and how to be successful financially. And so they believe that they're bad, or that they're bad at life. So they buy into this identity that they're not good enough. And therefore, because that wound is vibrating, they attract people that tell them that they're not good enough. So whenever you find yourself trying to explain to someone that you are a good person, or that you're not a bad person, or that you're not that you're not being unreasonable or any of that, remember, that you go ahead and do it if you feel that that's necessary, because sometimes it is. Sometimes it's really important to let yourself vent and not keep things within. But the way to permanently destroy this veil is to realize, like, I don't need anybody to validate me. I don't need anybody to think I'm good. I don't need to care if somebody thinks I'm bad. Now, that doesn't mean you're a sociopath and that you don't self-reflect and that you don't like acknowledge that when people give you feedback to, of course, like take it and see if there's any truth in it, of course. But you know what I'm talking about. I'm talking about that feeling, like this fluttery feeling that you're in urgent danger, that like I need to explain to people that I'm not bad, that this isn't my fault, that, you know, I don't need to try to convince anybody of anything. Okay? So to create the stable vessel, you validate yourself. You validate yourself. I believe myself. I don't need anybody to hear me. I am heard by the source within me. I am heard by the source within me. And guess what? When you really rest in that stability, that fire will burn up whatever illusion you created from the energy of the wound permanently. You could, if you don't burn the wound, you could like leave that toxic ex and go to another relationship, or leave this situation and go to another situation. But all you're doing is going to another illusion where your wound is still vibrating. Your wound is still vibrating. If it causes as much fear for you as it has for me, it has a lot of momentum. So it's going to recreate itself somehow. And so the way to permanently heal it is to validate yourself, to refrain from defending, justifying, and explaining yourself. And when you stop doing those things, you'll feel, the reason why we do those things is to avoid that really unstable feeling. That really unstable feeling like, wait, am I a terrible person? Do I deserve to be blamed for everything? Connected to that past life, do I deserve to be killed for being connected to nature and connected to myself? It makes me emotional. No, you don't. But the world is not judging you. The world is giving you how you feel about yourself. Okay? So to heal this permanently, you remember who you really are. I am heard. The source within me hears me. I know. I trust myself. I trust myself. I don't need anything in this illusion to validate me. Period. So I hope this was helpful, and I hope you have a beautiful day.